I love talking about those old days because, cricket clubs back then was massive family occasions, and they still are now, of an evening and then all day on Saturday, all day on Sunday. When you're growing up, you never actually believe that those moments exist. And then it's almost you have to be there to see it. The craft behind the women's cricket, because they don't necessarily have the power. Tactically, it's a more interesting game in some respects like that. It was one of those things, actually, having an older brother that's 5 years older and a dad that was a keen cricket fan. It was almost like no choice, to be honest. So from a very young age, I think I remember early as 9, I was always, whenever we watched my brother play, it was like a big family day out.
Yeah.
And then, one thing leads with, a lad getting injured, or then one lad pulling out last minute, and then it was, Sal can do it, because I was pretty much tall as them back then, because I'm 6 foot, and it kind of just fell from there. And then obviously once you start playing, you then do fall in love with the game, and you pick up a few skills here and there, and you get a bit of confidence. And then I played with the lads for another 12 years after that. And I love talking about those old days because, cricket clubs back then was massive family occasions, and they still are now, of an evening and then all day on Saturday, all day on Sunday. I've just got great memories of just, playing after the games and putting a wheelie bin up on the side and just forever playing. So it was my dad and my brother that got me into the game. And then when you learn how to play, you start watching Channel 4 cricket and, just watching the West Indies running. Those are the things that I remember and enjoy and loving watching.
And I think that's something that a few people have mentioned is starting playing as a mixed group, if you like, playing a boys team or with the men as well. What's that like as an experience when you are 9, 10, 11 years old?
Yeah, and when people ask me that question, I kind of think, that were you intimidated and all that? Like, it was always a very welcome environment. I ended up playing for 2 clubs, and that was because my brother wasn't getting the opportunity at one and needed to go to another. So I just had to go with him again. But both clubs, Grimsby Town and Caister Town, were absolutely fantastic in, inviting me into their teams, and then, also giving me opportunity, even though I was a girl. It was always a great experience. And even when I started playing women's cricket in Sheffield and for Yorkshire, I never left the men's stuff. And you play midweek men's cricket, which was 16 overs, 8 ball overs. I just loved it. I probably played about 5 games a week. You never get away with that nowadays, but it was just a good community.
So how do you progress from Grimsby to getting into sort of professional women's cricket? What was the route like for you then?
Well, it got to the stage where, I couldn't play boys cricket forever, and I had some ability. So, you then realise, well, where is the women's cricket? And, can I take this further? Can I go play county cricket? Can I go play for England? And then my dad just found out that, there was trials going on at Yorkshire. And I just turned up as a 12-year-old and got into their under-21 team. So it kind of all started from there. And then when I was 18, I decided that Loughborough University was my best option to get the education. It wasn't professional then. And then obviously train like I trained like a pro. I worked all my training, whether it be physical or skill stuff, in and around studying my degree. And I met a bloke there called Graham Dilley, who I thought he was quite a pioneer there because he was very much invested in women's cricket as he was as men's. And, he was the England fast bowling coach. He had a lot of experience at high performance coaching, and just gave, we was only 5 of us at that time, the opportunity to feel like a professional cricketer. And then it led to loads of, playing at Yorkshire. I ended up captaining the team there under Paul Shaw and Richard Dams, who were great mentors and great leaders for me that helped me transition into coaching and helped me with my coaching badges. And then I was fortunate enough to go on tour with, the England age group and England Day, and played, all against those international players. I just absolutely loved it. But I've always done coaches on the side of playing. It was one of those things that you do it for a bit of a hobby, earn a bit of money while you're at uni.
Yeah.
But, I've always found that, helping, I guess, others fulfill their potential has been very rewarding.
When you are sort of working with people, I suppose now, are those routes still there for progression? How do you think women and girls are getting into the game now? Has it changed, or is it still that same sort of way?
I do wish there was more opportunity for particularly female coaches to feel that they've got good opportunity to earn a good living and be well respected for being a professional coach. Still, you don't really see too many coming through that elite coach education pathway. And I can only assume that, there's not enough coaches at that role model position coaching professional teams. And maybe they feel that the opportunity is there at the end of the line once they've done all their coaching qualifications and gained the experience. Like, you don't want to invest all that time potentially not knowing there isn't the job at the end of it.
So, in terms of the players, I suppose, how do you feel the standard of women's cricket is now? Where is that at? Has professionalism kind of raised the bar a little bit?
Yeah, massively. Like, I've seen a big difference now being in Australia for 2 years, coaching in their domestic program. They've had that investment in female sport for 7 years, I think now. It might even be more. So, they're paying every player that's in their state program to play cricket. And what you can see there is the depth of talent because they've done that early. They've got fewer centralised contracts because you've got eight programs that are professionally working with 15 players. So you're always going to see that depth. But I do feel it's got room to grow as well, specifically with like the physical side and the power. Like you continuously seeing in like the Big Bash and then also in the Kia Super League, scores getting bigger.
Yeah, I suppose in terms of the WBBL in particular, how do you think that has pushed the game on your side of the world at the minute?
I think it's been brilliant for building a brand of female cricket. You've got so many people engaged. Like, I wouldn't say that you see a huge difference in crowd size compared to the Kia Super League that I've experienced, but my word, you see a lot of people watching it. So from home, and they get really good prime time positions on a weekend. So the viewings go through the roof. And then from a promotional point of view, it very much feels that female cricketers are very much equal to male cricketers.
Yeah, I mean, in particular, that World Cup final, how does it feel for someone who's been involved in women's cricket for so long to see such a huge crowd for that and all the sort of hoopla around it as well?
Yeah, when you're growing up, you never actually believe that those moments exist. And then it's almost you have to be there to see it. And I was fortunate to go to the final at Lord's versus England versus India. That was incredible. And then to go to the MCG and watch Australia versus India with 86,000 people there. And then Elise Perry warming the crowd up before. It was just unbelievable. And I just thought, creating something that's more than just cricket, that's going to be an incredible experience. They just nailed it. So, yeah, it's awesome.
Now, next year, fingers crossed, if all goes well, you'll be over here with Trent Rockets as the head coach. What sort of help do you think that's going to give the women's game on this side of the pond? Is that mirroring some of the BBL stuff in terms of promotion, or is there more than that?
Well, I think the professionalisation of it is going to be increased, isn't it? So, I guess the salary cap and the promotion that's already happened for female cricketers is always raised that awareness. You'll have English cricketers now thinking, wow, this is what I want to do. And we'll go above and beyond to make sure they're in 100 team, which is great. And the other element is, even though we're playing, we need to be viewed. We need to be present. We need to be out there. And it just seems what's happened with the ECB and the contract with, I guess, Sky and then the BBC, like we're gonna be in people's living rooms, and I think that's makes the biggest difference. If we want more people playing and more people interested, we've got to be accessible. So that's the bit that excites me about female cricket having an absolute presence, and the equality that comes with that. I feel that they've promoted both remarkably well.
Yeah. And how do you see people's kind of perceptions of women's cricket as well? I suppose if they've been to see a game out, do you think people are sort of surprised almost by what they're watching, or?
Yeah, I think when, I talk of people that are good cricket fans and have followed cricket for a long time, I think, especially when you talk about T20, a lot of people will make observations to me in around how good tactically women's cricket is, because I think sometimes they feel in T20 cricket men's, it's just about who can hit it the hardest. And, no matter where a bowler bowls it, it's going to go out the park anyway. Whereas the craft behind the women's cricket, because they don't necessarily have the power, tactically, it's a more interesting game in some respects like that. Which, these are just observations that other people have told me, and then you start to think, oh yeah, I do see that actually, because sometimes you can thick edge it for six in men's cricket. But there's definitely more people interested and enjoy watching the contest.